Okay, we have now round two coming up. We have Christian Noitz on the top side playing at the Austrian Legacy League playmat, and on the bottom side we have Daniel Sigrist playing on the 3-for-1 playmat. Christian Noitz is today, as yeah everyone in Austria or especially in Linz knows, on Elves, and on the other side of the table we have the menace of the format, blue-red, Iset Delva. Do we have any spectacular in the format in the decks? Iset Delva is playing a one of Ledger Shredder and a one of Brazen Borer, which is, I mean, not that standard, but standard. It's playing also two islands, so especially good in the mirror. And on the side of Elves, we have a Boseiju in the main deck, which is also quite standard. A Savannah to hardcast your Archon of Whaler Reach. And yeah, basically Carpet of Flowers on the sideboard, which is not that uncommon, but also not that common. The graphics are currently a little bit corrupted, but I try my best to guess the cards that we have here. So it seems to be a mulligan on the side of Christian and a keep on the side of Daniel. We see at least the Days, a Volcanic Island, the Bolt. So definitely some things to deal with the Elves. I mean, Days isn't that good actually when you have like 4 Allosaurus Shepherds in the deck, which basically negates every negate. So hopefully everything works now. So if ever someone in the chat can tell me when there are issues besides the low quality on the camera, we had a lot of difficulties to overcome here. It's a little bit unfortunate, but I try my best to deliver you the content that you want. So we have a turn 1 Ponder on the side of Daniel. It's seeing a Force of Will and a few other cards, and it seems to be a non-shuffle. But it actually is. Okay. What are the cards that Christian is presenting now? Is it the feared Allosaurus Shepherd, or is it another one? It's a Bayou, followed up with a Nettle Sentinel. Christian is also mostly on the old builds, not really implementing cards like the Elvish Reclaimer and the 2-drop that basically are additional copies of Green Sun Zeniths. So a lot more on the mid-range side, but we see a Daze on the Nettle Sentinel to reset the board, and maybe we see even a Wasteland here. Wasteland on the Bayou, and it's turn 2 of Christian, and we start the game up front. And unfortunate for Christian, there is no second land in his hand, so he has to pass here, and we see Volcanic Island into Dragon Ridge Channeler. So everything seems to be on point for Daniel. Another missed land drop for Christian, another Volcanic, another Dragon Ridge Channeler, and maybe going in for 3 or for 1. And yeah, it's a scoop. So we go to game 2. What are cards that we are looking at here now? Definitely Carpet of Flowers on the side of Christian. Definitely Endurances. The Abrupt Decay seems good, and maybe he even brings in Runafowl, even though those cards are in there mostly for the Deafen Texas, the depth stacks. So yeah, we will see if we see a Runafowl. it still does do a spectacular job against like a single Mercside region, but if it is the right thing to play into, I don't know. On the side of Daniel, we have like in the side for Pyroblast, Submerge, Hydroblast, which don't see or won't see play in this matchup. I don't think that we want to have a Surgical or Unlicensed Hearse. Meltdown doesn't seem great. He has one Rough Tumble, which is good, and I think we will see the 2 and the Festivities too. So like 3 board clears to come in, maybe to shave in the Forces or the Daces. Maybe the Daces on the draw are not that great, so yeah, will be interesting what we will see, but I think the 3 board clears are a no-brainer. I'm not that confident in boarding in or boarding out of Elves, so maybe I will have a talk to Christian afterwards and ask him. So we have Nosman, Gian in the chat. Fire Elves versus regular Elves. I'm not a good Elves player. I never played Elves in my life. But I think when you play a lot of Elves, you will be quite confident in the archetype. And I, from my side, think that playing a deck as configured as you know it should be really good. So in that case, if Chino is more confident in playing like the old Elf shell, I think he is good to go to play it with that. But on the other side, if you see like grinders lowering the Elves count, for example, and playing the new 2-drop, or new 2-drop, I think it's also 2 years old, but to have a lot more consistency and general value in the deck, I think it's quite good when you get confident with those. Maybe the ceiling is even higher with those decks because they enhance their archetype a little bit more. So yeah, shuffling up the cards, and let's hope for Christian to getting, yeah, basically a win in the second game so we can see a third one. Daniel 1 game up, and yeah, I can't wait to see game 2. It seems like Christian is keeping a 7, so let's see where this one ends. And as yeah, I mean, Gian, you know, you are basically famous for the green-white archetype with Thassa's Oracle and Fortlash. If you're confident in an archetype, even how fringe it is, or maybe not like Goblin Storm or something like that, but if you're confident in an archetype that has a clear gameplay or a clear win condition, you win a lot by being confident in the deck. I for myself can say I'm playing a lot of painter and fringe painter decks because I'm more on the mid-range side. But if you're confident in those decks, if you know how to play those decks, you have an edge. I mean, of course it depends on the meta, because if for example there is a 1-mana spell that clears the whole board that is like pretty common in the main deck or something like that, Elves would in general be a bad idea, and maybe Elves with a little bit bigger butt would be better positioned. But most of the time, if you're confident in active and you know how to play the deck, you're really good to go. And we see here the end of festivities in the starting hand of Daniel. So yeah, and Christian mulliganing again. It doesn't look that great, but the good thing about Elves is that you can have a lot of incremental advantage. So you can have stuff like bouncing Elvish Visionaries with your Wildwood Symbiote to generate some card advantage. But yeah, we will see how this game goes. Hopefully Christian can keep and we don't have a non-game in game 2. But yeah, we will see how it goes. And by the way, thank you, Gian, for liking the channel. So we have the turn 1 Nettle Sentinel again on the side of Christian. At least he has now a basic land, which means he won't get wastelanded into death like in game 1. And the plus side for the Nettle Sentinel is it beautifully dodges the Enter Festivities. So we see the Misty getting for sure another volcanic island here. And is it a cantrip on turn 1? Most likely to find. Oh no, he has a Dragon Rage Channeler. And a Mishra's Bauble. Yeah, a little bit a good start on the side of of Daniel here. We have here a Gaia's Cradle on top for Christian, so there will be a little bit of acceleration here in the upkeep. Daniel draws his card from the bauble. The Dragon Rage Channeler should be online on turn 2. So here is the attack with the Nettle Sentinel down to 17. We get the Birchlaw Ranger, which untapped the Nettle Sentinel. Do we see here Force of Will or something else? But I don't think so. We tap the Cradle for 2. Play an Elvish Visionary, which is a card that will draw a card here. So 1 card for Christian. He has 1 mana still in play. Okay. Does he play another 1-drop? Oh no. He plays a Carpet. And the Carpet is a good one, which will be forced, because the thing that Daniel doesn't want Christian to have is a lot of mana sources on the battlefield, because he can deal with the creatures because of the end, the festivities in the hand. So force pitching like a Ponder or Brainstorm, he's deciding between those. With no shuffle effect, the Brainstorm will go. And everything is, yeah, good to go. The untap on the Nettle Sentinel still happens. Maybe we have another Carpet of Flowers in the hand, but it seems like a pass. So the Dragon Range Channeler is now online, and I think this is an Enter Festivities. Cleared 2 Elves and 1 damage to the face of Christian. It's a Murktide on top. And 3 damage to the face. Christian isn't in a good spot, but it's definitely not the end of the world here. There are still a few options to come back to. Attacking for 2 here and passing the turn is not the thing that Christian actually wants to do here. I think we will see a second Dragon Rage Channeler here, or another threat. Oh no, it's the bolt on the Sentinel. The trigger of the Dragon Rage Channeler. Do he keep the Ponder on top? Ponder can guarantee him, or basically guarantee him another land, but I think it's milled now. It's a little bit slower than Daniel wants the game to go. Another 3 damage, but still 3 turns to go. And we have a heritage route. Do we see something here? No. We have Days, double Delva, Pond in the hand, which is a really strong hand on the side of Daniel. And he's playing the Delva here. I think on my side I would have gambled with the Ponder for an additional land. Would be so good. But yeah, here is the land now. So you can fetch, Delva, and then Ponder for an guaranteed flip for both Delvas on the next turn. And here we have an Endurance. Endurance is a really strong card in this matchup, especially because it now eats the whole graveyard on the side of Daniel, which shrinks the Dragon Rage Channeler, and he blocks him now to death. And this means the Delva on the next turn aren't that great either, but I think you have to play the Delva here. I mean, yeah, you have to play the Delva here, and I would fetch afterwards, but yeah, we will see how Daniel decides. Because yeah, you have the Ponder and the Delva to go. If you can find like 1 or 2 bolts, you have to win here. If you find an Unholy Heat or a single bolt, you can deal with the Endurance. And we have the Ponder here. Let's see what Daniel can get. It doesn't seem. It's a little bit hard Ponder actually. But yeah, it's the second Delva, which means both of those will flip on the next turn. There is still a Daze in the hand of Daniel that Christian has to be aware of. And we have another Elvish Visionary, which is huge. It allows him a lot to do. The best thing that he can have is like a second Endurance now, but we all need something to dream about. But with 3 or 4, even 4 Endurances, it's not that uncommon that there is a second one coming up. And there are 4 Endurances in the whole 75, which is, I think, pretty standard here. And so yeah, an Endurance coming up wouldn't be that surprising. Okay, but we have a Green Sansini for X2 or maybe X1. We may get a Wirewood Symbiote, yeah. Which means he can bounce the Visionary and then replay the Visionary again. Or maybe play another Elf with the 1 mana floating, playing around Days, making 3 mana with the Heritage Druid. But yeah. He activates the Wirewood Symbiote, bounces the Visionary. And would tap all his mana sources here to play the Visionary. I think we should see here a Daze. Yeah. And it's the Daze on the Visionary. You have to stop the value chain here, or you are for sure losing the game. Still, is a little bit bad for the mana situation of Daniel. The missed land drop definitely hurt him, especially since he has the Expressive Iteration in his hand, which is not a card that he can play currently. Another Daze in his hand too, so I mean, Daze was the card that flipped the Elves, Question is now, do we see an attack in for down to 5? But I think this is not the route Daniel wants the game to go. I think this is just Volcanic Island pass and Expressive Iteration on the next turn to set up for a bigger turn. The problem is Elves has the potential to win out of nowhere. Here's something like Natural Order for Hoof, Natural Order for Arcane of Vela Reach or something like that can close out the game. I mean, on the side of Daniel, we have no cards actually to deal with endurance here because we have no Unholy Heat. So that's good for Gino, for Christian, because like now the endurance can not be 1-for-1. You always get the 2-for-1 for this card, so everything is really strong here. And yeah, we see the Elvish Visionary now, which means the value train continues on the side of Christian here. He gets to draw another card, and if he can draw into another elf, it would be quite perfect. So play another elf, float some mana, bounce the Visionary, and I think this is exactly what we get here. It's even a Nettle Sentinel, which will untap afterwards, so floating 3 mana, bouncing the Visionary with the Symbiote, untapping the Heritage Druid, playing the Visionary, untapping the Nettle Sentinel, drawing a card, still having 1 mana floating. This is the Elf stream. This is what everyone wanted to see here. And yeah, we get another land drop. Unfortunately, nothing else. But for next turn, you can still play Visionary or bounce in the Delver's turn the Visionary, and in the next turn play the Visionary, float some mana, bounce the Visionary, play the Visionary, having lots of mana to do stuff. And this is the point where Elves can win the game against Delver. The thing that the enemy is now looking for is like the Rough to Tumble or the second and the Festivities, but we will see what we can get. It's a red card, it's a force, and it's an anti-festivities. So yeah, exactly the card Daniel was looking for. And yeah, 1 card in the exile should be a land, and it's another Flooded Strand, fetching, getting the 3rd Volcanic out, and ending the festivities here for Christian. Christian still gets to bounce his Elvish Visionary here. He still gets to keep the Nettle Sentinel and the Endurance, which is a big thing. The problem now with the Endurance is that Daniel is allowed to attack in with both Delvers, because he trades 1 Delver for the Endurance, and then Christian goes down to 3 life. To 4 life. I'm sorry. He has to attack with both of those, and I think you have to jump. Yeah. So still at 4 life, which means 1 hit is still something that Christian can take. If he fetches, he's down to 1 life. Basically 1 hit from a Delva, from a Lightning Bolt. There are so many sources that deal 3 to Christian. So drawing a card here. And here's now the question, do we get a big thing? Okay, we get a Dryad Arbor as a Lancelot. An attack for 2, down to 9. And what is the card that we get? Another Nettle Sentinel, untapping the old Nettle Sentinel and passing the turn. If Christian has a card in hand, he can maybe have another another endurance, but yeah, what's the card? And he has the second endurance, which should mean game 2 goes to Christian. I mean, I don't see Daniel coming back from this, especially since he is dead, I think, on the backswing. I mean, he can play a Delver here, but yeah, the second endurance was huge. Endurance in this matchup is like one of the best cards here, and this is the reason that one of the grinders, I think it's called Virtual Arranger or something like that, is switching over to the search engine, because like, you can basically guarantee yourself to get your endurances and stuff like that. Because in this matchup, it doesn't really matter that you can win on turn 2 with a combo, but if you can win the mid-range war with the better cards in endurance and stuff like that, uh, you win those matchups and you gain a lot of silver bullets versus other matchups where it's also difficult to combo again. So this is another green Sansini for 1. So okay, we get the overrun ability from Allosaurus Shepherd, and this is the win for Christian. So 1-1 in this match, and we see a game 3. Here we may see some changes, like getting forces out and daces in, for example, for the side of Daniel. But he had at least 2 daces still in, so I'm not sure what the cards are that he brought out. But like, yeah, you still need the bolts. Maybe you brought down a little bit on expressive iteration because you need the early pressure versus elves. Because in the mid game, you don't really have the power to outvalue an elvish visionary chain with Wirewood symbiotes. So yeah, will be interesting. We may see Daniel here searching a lot more for his ND festivities, but yeah, was a good game from both players, I think. And yeah, we will see how it goes. The card to beat in this matchup actually wasn't seen, which is the Murktide Regent for Daniel. Because for Murktide Regent, Christian doesn't have that good cards to play against. He needs like triple endurance or double endurance to deal with it, and that's quite unlikely. So yeah, let's see. I hope you can live with me through this first round with the perfect visual setup. I hope you can see it a little bit better than myself, but yeah, a little bit unfortunate. So yeah. And Tsishi, thank you for following the channel. So we have a keep, I think, on the side of Daniel and on the side of Christian, which is like a first for Christian in this matchup. So yeah. Volcanic Island into Delver of Secrets. And this is actually a good point for Delver currently. You have so much pressure with Delver and Dragon Wedge Channel in the 1-drop slot. This should be a Verdant Catacomb, 4 and basic into Green Sun Zenith, which will for sure get dazed. I can't think of that getting resolved, and we have actually a double days hand and a force of will hand. How good would have been a Allosaurus Shepherd's art on the side of Christian. But that's the thing, because of like Allosaurus Shepherd, you don't really expect to have a lot of counter magic against you. So everything looks good. We see here the bolt off top, which means the Delve of Secrets will transform into the Insectable Aberration, and he will hit in for 3 damage here. So Christian already under a little bit of pressure, but the pressure is quite okay if you can get like 1 or 2 mana elves out, and then gets to change or to chain in some endurances. So everything is fine here. Gets a draw, another fetch land, which means another basic, most likely, or maybe we see something like a Abrupt Decay, but we see here the Runafowl, which is a really cool card. I really like it. It deals basically with every 1 of threat and is the good answer against Murktide Regent, but we see it here in the early game as the turn 2 removal to play around Daze, and we may see the Force of Will pitching Daze, which is an really aggressive play from Daniel, but the mid game power is still here. But yeah, we see a Force of Will pitching the Daze, and yeah, what do we see on the side of Christian afterwards? Because I think now you can play a 1-drop, because like double Daze is already out and the triple Daze hand would be really insane. And this is a Wirewood Symbiote. Currently on the stream you can't see it that well, but this is beautifully altered by Kai Savatari and beautifully killed by, is it a Beta Pyroblast or something? Beta Lightning Bolt. So yeah, we see another bolt top decked by the side of Daniel, but Christian's still on 13 life, so he's good to go. See a Brainstorm for a really good trio of cards, Double Ponder and a second threat in the side of Dragon Rage Channeler, which means Ponder on top, land Dragon Rage Channeler go. So this means Christian is in desperate need of something like an Endurance. And let's see what we get. We get here a Boseiju. And yeah, Boseiju is a good card to deal with various artifact decks. The problem on the side, however, is that it's still not wasteland proof, but we will see if that matters. Daniel has to shuffle up his graveyard. Gino has now a good threat on the board, and let's see what the Ponder shows us, because it will be, I mean, the Ponder, the Dragon Rage Channel trigger shows us another Ponder, and I don't think that you want to shuffle this one away or mull this one away. But Daniel suggests otherwise, because you want the pressure, and the question now is, do you want to have the Expressive Iteration and these 2 lands? Expressive Iteration on the one hand is a good card here for the next turn with a guaranteed land on the bottom, because you can basically give away or mull away the second land with the Dragon Rage Channeler. But yeah, we will have the Expressive Iteration in hand. We should see here now Delve of Secrets and Dragon Rage Channeler coming in onto Christian, and most likely the Delver will get blocked here and traded because of the Lightning Bolt. Yeah. So everything should be okay. Second land will be Malt here. But yeah. Christian still on 12 life, which should be enough to start a small comeback story. With the Delver in the graveyard, the Dragon Rage channeler is now enraged and up to a 3-2 because he's delirious. Getting another fetch land down to 11. But still in a position where you can navigate the match. In the previous match he was way lower on the life total. And here we have a Green Sun Zenith X3, which for sure means endurance or endurance number 2. Getting rid of the graveyard again. There is one expressive iteration in the hand of Daniel here and a fetched land which will get drawn here. So the question is now, do you want to Pond in exile? Pond is a good card to exile here because it makes the DRC a little bit greater, but the cards that Daniel wants here is the Murked Region, which will most likely get put into his hand, and maybe even the Dragon Witch Channeler into the exile, which allows for a good proof against Runnerfall. But we will see how it goes. Because you need a card to exile here, and I think Dragon Witch Channeler is the card here. You want expressive iteration in your deck, and you should have to want a Murked Region in your card pool for the next few turns. But yeah, Murked Region goes to the bottom. Another Volcanic for the third one out there, and we will see a Dragon Witch Channeler number 2 continuing on the battlefield. So Christian now in the place where he can stall the game until Daniel can overpower the board of Christian, and we will see if he can develop some strategies to generate some card advantage, maybe in the form of Vivod Symbiote together with like your Elvish Visionary, or we may see any other strategies coming up. And we have the piece 1 of the combo, and we have an Allosaurus Shepherd here. So a few cards that can be really hard to deal with, and it's actually the Murked Region and the top deck Rough Tumble. It looks not that great for Christian here, but I don't think he can play the Rough Tumble here. It depends on the mills actually, because there's a sorcery in the graveyard, and I do not know if the second card, I think it's sorcery land. That's a small problem here, but you kind of have to remove the board here. But you can't remove the endurance. You can't really remove the Allosaurus Shepherd because of the Wirewood Symbiote. So a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, I know, Stefan. It's I had a lot of technical trouble here because my normal webcam setup apparently doesn't work here. I tried to change it between rounds back again, but I have some issues with the Wi-Fi here, so it's really unfortunate. I try to improve the quality a lot for the next game, but yeah, I really have to hope that it kind of works out. But we see another Allosaurus Shepherd deployed, and here we should see the Murked now. It's a little bit troublesome. We had the video set it up for another Wi-Fi, but this Wi-Fi didn't allow us to connect to Twitch, so it was like, yeah, really confusing how everything works out. So yeah, if if anyone has some opinions or some information where you can use your smartphone to connect as a webcam, I'm very open to. Currently I'm working with Ninja OBS, but apparently this one sucks. So yeah, we will have to see how it goes. Maybe I have to change something directly on the smartphone at the upload rate or something like that, because I just looked into it. It's the upload rate is 169 times 300, so something like your Game Boy Advance or something like that, or maybe even Game Boy Color. But yeah, we have a Merc as a 6.6 here. We have a few things on the board for Daniel, for Christian, and we will have to see what it does here. Because looking up the Allosaurus Shepherd, Shepherd makes 5/5 out of his elves. So if there is another elf here gonna be deployed, Daniel is looking to be dead on the backswing. Okay. Christian takes the 6 down to 5. And we see another Delver here. Gaia's Cradle into Crater Hoof would be the perfect card combination for Christian here. But yeah, Bolt off the top means game over. Close games between Daniel and Christian, except for the first, which was like an one lander mulligan to 5 on the side of Christian into a wasteland on the side of Daniel. So yeah, thank you for watching this round, and I will see you in the next one.